was too proud to beg, at least family members and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And before we even got into the tent, before we were evicted, the dog had a little tiny bump growing on her rib cage. I brought her into the vet before I even broke my leg, and they were like, look, it's not big enough to risk anesthesia. Put her through that. She's 9 years old already. If it gets much bigger, we'll consider taking it out of there. But, you know, when I got evicted and stuff, I just lost a train of thought, lost everything. I didn't have any money. So I watched it in the tent, growing and growing and growing, getting bigger by the day. And the vet was like almost right across the street. So I brought her back. And the vet was going out of business. He was about to retire. He didn't want to take payments, you know, over time. So he said, look, I can do this for $3,000, but you have to pay me up front. I think I had tears in my eyes and stuff. It was devastating. I was like, how am I? So one of the veterinary technicians that worked in the place, was a really sweet lady. She told me that she knows a man who does veterinary and like animal rescue charities, and that he's well connected. He knows a lot of people. A lot of people know him, and he does this like on a daily basis, raises money on GoFundMe for people to help them out. And she said, do you want me to help? You want me to ask him if he'll help you? I said, sure, I could use it, you know, any help. And I'm at the vet. The vet tech is telling me this. She shows me a couple of the other things that he had up on Facebook about some other animals. It looked 100%, you know, on the boards. And I think we got about $900 in the first week. It just started flowing in. I had a lot of my old Navy shipmates and stuff were donating $50, $100, $200 a piece. And
it's like you could have set that up on your own,
I
right?
could have.
Without this guy.
But I only had a cell phone at that point, and it wasn't even really a smartphone.
Sure. So, and you figure, this guy is going to help me out.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, what was his name George Santos at the time?
His name was Anthony DeVolder.
Yeah, because I remember hearing, because this guy's had so many different aliases. Which
4 or 5 at least so far.
Like sure sign of a criminal.
Mm-hmm. Zabrowski. And his roommate actually said that he used that name Zabrowski when he would do his GoFundMes because he lives in Long Island and there's a lot of Jews in Long Island. And if you're a Jew, Jews will donate more.
And he said he was Jewish when he ran. Yeah, so no, going from there though, because I definitely want to get into the whole thing. So yeah, you have hundreds of dollars coming in, which turns into thousands, right?
Turned into thousands, and we had a goal of $3,000 set,
which would have just been enough to do what you needed to do.
We brought it right in and had it done.
And what? It was cancer, or what was it?
It was a fatty cyst called a lipoma.
Okay.
We thought it was cancer at first, but it turned out to be a thing called a lipoma, Lipoma, I think. But it had a lot of veins in it and stuff, and they said if they didn't do it the right way, she might bleed out.
Okay.
So we were, the $3,000 came in. I had actually moved out of the tent, and I was living with an old friend in his basement for a couple of weeks when the money finally had come in. And he just kept stonewalling me when it came through. He didn't want me to see my vet anymore, the one that quoted the $3,000. He said, well, you know, if it costs any more than $3,000, if it goes over because she's on the table for longer, I have a working relationship with this veterinarian office, and we can work out any extra money, you know. And I think he was all just BSing me to just keep stringing me along. And I really think that he enjoyed the stringing me along crap. And
he was he on the phone with you, or these emails?
Most of them were emails at first. I had a little bit of a falling out with the vet tech. So I decided I was going to go one-on-one with him. She was acting as the middleman for the first few months this was going on. I never even spoke to him, never sent him a text message or anything. So I finally got his phone number from her, and we started texting. We spoke 2-3 times on the phone, I think. And 2 of the times were just arguing back and forth.
Now I'm just wondering, by any chance, I don't know if you would know, do you think the vet tech might have been like in on something with him, or you think she had no idea what was going on?
I don't want to get into her situation too awful much.
Sure.
I have a feeling that he had been scamming her too.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah. I mean, with your situation, we do, because you have the text messages. So, okay, so you started arguing with him over what?
I was getting really, really just upset and frustrated about everything. He wanted me to go to Long Island to his vet. I don't drive. How am I supposed to get up to Long Island? So the vet tech brought me and Sapphire up to this veterinarian in Long Island or Queens or whatever it was. And before we left, Santos, the Volder at the time, said that he was going to reimburse me for the ride up there for the gas, tolls, and food. And he wanted my routing number and my bank account number. I can't believe I actually gave it to him now that I'm looking back on all this stuff. But I waited. It was a couple $100 going up there. I filled up her tank, and she had it was a Jeep with a big tank and stuff. And I mean, it wasn't like I had a place that I was living at the time, so it wasn't like I was destitute.
So you were fixed. You fixed that situation of living
temporarily.
Okay.
Temporarily. I went back out on the street after a few months after my dog had passed away. Because I got a new dog, and the guy I was living with was abusing the hell out of her.
Oh, wow.
While I was at work and stuff. So I went back into a tent with the new dog for a little while. I'd rather live in a tent with my dog than have somebody picking on her.
Yeah, of course. So back to what was going on there with with Sapphire.
Right. So we went up to do the thing in Long Island. Came back. Money never came into my account like he said he was going to. So I approached him about that. I'm like, look, man, I need this cash. I don't make much money. I'm working in a deli, and I get like $800 a month from VA. And he just kept stringing me along and stringing me along and stringing me along. And it seems now that he was enjoying the whole thing. He enjoyed like hurting somebody. Like it was tickling some sick little nerve in the back of his head somewhere. And it was, I think he was getting aroused over, hurting another human being.
Yeah.
So I finally just got completely fed up with him. And I told him, I was like, you're mining my friends and my family and my dog for money for yourself. And he told me that was the most offensive, horrible thing anybody had ever said to him. And then
what was that about? And I'm just wondering, like, meeting who we now know as Santos in person, like, what was your impression of him just as a human being?
He seemed fake.
Yeah.
The first time I spoke to him on the phone.
And he's a really young guy. So at the time,
he's in his mid-30s or something now. I think he was in his mid-20s back then.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting in itself, right? That's who's helping you out. A guy that young, too, it might seem a little bit strange, right?
I didn't know. Yeah, and he looked really young in his Facebook pictures because we were friends while we were raising the money on the fundraiser. And I wound up blocking him and everything at the end because, I was just so ticked off at the whole situation. But he used like a picture where he looked like he was probably about 20, 18, 19, 20 or something like that for his Facebook picture. So that was why I never really recognized him when he first started showing up on the news. But we went back and forth for about 2, 3, 4 weeks arguing and arguing and arguing. He started telling me things like, oh, well, I'll come and pick up the dog and take it to the vet myself, but you're not coming around. You're not coming along. We help out animals in need, not needy owners. And then he said in another text somewhere that don't forget, it was our 501c
C3, yeah.
that got you the money faster, and that
but you didn't get any money, right?
Didn't get any money.
Yeah,
didn't get anything, and that was all lying. He was never a 501c. He was just pocketing everything. I think he might have helped a few animals here and there. God knows, just to keep his scam running, so he seemed a little bit more legitimate. I'm sure I'm not the only one that he did something like this to.
So he just went off the grid completely after a certain amount of time?
We'd argued back and forth on the phone a few times, and then he just wouldn't answer my calls or anything anymore. I didn't know what to do. The dog's dying, and I didn't have the money to pay for it. So I have a friend, Michael Bowl, who runs the New Jersey Veterans Network. It's a suicide prevention and outreach program, a mentor outreach program to help vets in need. And I'd known him for a few months at that point. He's helped me out a lot. He got me a bike to get back and forth to work. He's given me clothing. He actually just a couple of weeks ago paid my current dog's vet bills so that I can get another dog from North Shore Animal League. They had to have all their booster shots and stuff taken care of. But I went to Michael and I said, look, man, he's a Marine Corps veteran, and he's also a retired Union Township police officer. And running a charity, I figured, he can help me out. Talk to this guy, talk some sense into him, see what we can do. And he didn't want to hear from him either. He stonewalled him and pretty much told him to go F himself. He said the dog is not treatable, so the money's going on to another animal in need.
And these are personal friends of yours donating some of this.
Right. Almost all of them were.
Wow.
I mean, I had it on my Facebook page, and everybody that I was friends with on Facebook pretty much shared it. And I mean, some of them I didn't know by name. I think they were a friend of a friend.
But they weren't
friend.
Donating to some animal that they never heard of.
No, they all knew who I was. It was people I went to grade school with and Navy buddies and family and friends and stuff. So I told him in November 16th, I posted, this was back in 2016, I posted, I said something to the effect of, we were scammed by Anthony DeVolder and Friends of Pets United due to subterfuge regarding payment and some other stuff. Sapphire's not getting her treatment because we don't have the money, and she's going to have to be euthanized within a few months. And that was, what did I say, October? I think it was in February. I finally had to have her euthanized because that thing just sucked the life out of her.
Wow.
When it started growing, I watched the fur on her face start turning whiter and whiter and whiter, and it was taking her all of her energy away. It turned her old, like in a couple of weeks, couple of months.
So, yeah, you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, so one day she just wouldn't even get up anymore. And I think I went to work that day thinking about her the whole time, like, oh my God, I hope she's all right. She's laying on the floor, probably peeing on herself because she can't move. So the next day I had a friend come pick me up, and we went to an emergency veterinary hospital, and I had to have her put down. And I didn't even have the money to do that. I had a couple of weeks' notice. I knew that she was going down fast. So I started, when I wasn't at work, I started panhandling to get some money faster to have her euthanized and cremated. I got a few $100 for that. I think it was $600 altogether. I got about $450, and I called my mom, and we weren't really getting along at that point. And I was like, look, Ma, this dog, I can't watch her suffer on the floor anymore. Can you give me the last couple $100 I need to have the dog put down? And she sent it to me right away. I don't remember how she sent it. We didn't have Venmo and stuff back then, but yeah. So I had to go and have my little baby put down because people wouldn't help her, or people helped her, but the one person that was in control of all the funds that people helped was just being a shit.